Hello, students. Hope you are doing well. So we have come up with one of the text here or one of the passage. It's a reading comprehension and where the directions for questions that there is a passage below is accompanied by a set of questions. We need to choose the best answer to each question, isn't it? Now, let me point out, I assume that what you have read this text, yet I would like to give a kind of a small details pertain to this text. What does this text actually point out? The text or the passage discusses the relationship between anthropology, uh, history, and science, isn't it? It presents uh, the idea that anthropology as a branch of biology. Okay, it's a branch of biology. Offers insights into the true essence of life, particularly the lives of human beings, isn't it? So, life of, and then after life of human beings, it deliberates on whether history can be considered a science and highlights how physics deal with laws that are timeless, right? So, whereas biology and anthropology are concerned with the historical and changing nature of living organism. Okay, so next, after that, it argues that while some tendencies in biology might seem enduring, the unknown quantity called X. Okay, so, but at the same time, it is also representing something non-physical underlies all life's evolutionary changes. So, in that case, if you look into it, at the end of the text, it is trying to give us the idea that the conclusion emphasizes that living beings, especially humans, are subject to an evolutionary process that is inherently historical, defining the essence of anthropology. And you can say that a biology in scientific studies, right? Now, let's see that if you look into this particular text, so you get some idea out of it. Uh, but at the same time, we need to also find out some of the other elements, like you can talk about the tone. So, what is the tone of the author in the passage? You can talk about it's nothing but a philosophical one, right? And the author's tone is indicating that philosophical thought. Mm, if I talk about despite philosophical or in spite of philosophical, it is also informative one, right? The style is reflective. The style is reflective and explanatory, or you can say that exploratory also, right? Discussing the relationship between anthropology, uh, history, and science, isn't it? So, three of the things. If I talk about the main idea of the text, it is that anthropology, anthropology as a branch of biology is a means of understanding the true meaning of life, particularly human life. The passage also addresses what? Addresses the question of whether history can be considered a science. Considered a science. Can history be considered a science? The argument centers around the idea that biology and anthropology are not like physics, are concerned with time, evolution, and the changes in living organisms. They formulate tendencies rather than timeless laws, um, emphasizing the historical nature of living beings. So the conclusion in the text is that living beings, including humans, are subject to an evolutionary process. Evolutionary evolutionary process, isn't it? That is inherently historical, and this perspective is essential for scientific understanding. Scientific understanding. Understanding. Okay, now let's come to the question. The question points out here which of the following has been expressed in the passage. Which of the following has been expressed in the passage? Now look into the option. The first option points out anthropology was previously identified with science and now it is identified with history. The second option point out that the doctor's sort of history is neither science nor anthropology. The doctored. So three, which is pointed about philosophy aims at discovering laws that are clean out of time. Then the fourth one says that the laws of matter in motion are or seem to be of the time-bound or philosophical kind. Now let's analyze each one. If you look into the option 1, 3, and 4, so they are actually incorrect in nature. Why? Now because if you look into the option 1, option 1 is incorrect because the passage does not state that anthropology was previously identified with the science, right, and is now identified with history. The passage focuses on the distinction between, you can say that authentic and manipulated history in relation to the science and anthropology, right? So in that case, it is wrong to consider it is identified with history. So hence you can find out option 1 is wrong or incorrect. Option 3 is also um, because it describes a characteristic of science, not philosophy, right? Um, so the passage discusses science aim to discover laws that are clean out of time, right? Hence you can consider option 3 is wrong. Option 4 point out the laws of matter in motion are or seem to be of the time-bound or philosophical kind, which is incorrect because the terms used are not consistent with the passage. The passage does mention that the concept of laws, but it does not use the term like philosophical kind, philosophical kind, or time bound. Instead, it discusses the laws of matter in motion, which are described as of the time bound or scientific kind. So, when you look into the option 2, the doctorate sort of history is neither science nor anthropology, is the appropriate statement directly expressed in the passage, while the other options do not accurately represent the passage content, right? So, the option 2 explicitly mentioned in the passage, it refers to the idea that when history is manipulated or distorted, referred to as the doctored sort of history in the passage, it stops to be a true representation of science or anthropology. In other words, the passage suggests that distorted or manipulated history doesn't align with the principles and methodologies of science or anthropology. Hence, you can consider option 2 would be the most appropriate in context to the question. That's all. Thank you.